Sean, what do you make of, I guess, the fact that you've had a different veteran in your last 4 wins kind of step to the forefront, Max and Ira and the Rocky Mountain Schools, and then Jamal and then Stone?
Yeah, that's the uniqueness of our team in that we have a lot of new faces. I think the 9 that we're currently playing every game, 7 of them weren't even a part of our program a year ago. They didn't play and weren't even here. Ira and Dylan are the 2 right now that have played that were here. So, they come in different forms. A lot's been made of our freshman class, and deservedly so with the way they've performed. But Stone has really emerged, and Max is solid. Jamal Baker's very solid, and no doubt about it that experience is still very valuable in college basketball. And with Dylan and Ira, when those guys play well, they really help as well. And I think Ira, as a non-starter, you could really put in that mix, in that he's had some great moments in games where he's had a big shot block or a couple big offensive rebounds that have sparked us. So, as far back as the red-blue game, we've talked about the versatility of our team, the depth that we're going to be dependent and hopefully have great value in those that don't start the game, and that's really not changed. We're definitely a better team when we get contributions from everybody. Some of the guys that you mentioned, they don't start the game, but they're very valuable. And in Stone's case, his emergence beyond the Washington trip, but in particular the way he played at Washington State and Washington, is a big reason that we were able to get those 2 wins.
Are you a believer in the freshman wall in college? And if so, is that maybe what is allowing some of the veterans to kind of step up because your younger guys are facing a little bit more pressure?
No, I would say just the opposite with the freshman wall. I think they hit their stride right about now because, the freshman wall was brought when, Steve Kerr and Sean Elliott played, and, they were 22 and 23 years old, or 21 and 22 years old, and have been around the block. And, they're the best players not only in your conference, but the best players in college basketball. And you introduce these young 17, 18-year-olds, even though they're really talented, they're playing against those that are 2 and 3, 4 years older. I think that's how the wall at that point was created. And in fairness, that wall was probably accurate. But in the world of college basketball today, I think the youngest players have the highest ceiling, and if they have key roles and their attitude is good, their health is good, I think once they get experience playing on the road, get into conference play, get through the Christmas break, I think they really settle in and clearly know what college basketball is. If you listen to Nico talk and watch him, he kind of talks about that, in that now that he's had these variety of experiences, that in some ways he's more confident and more sure of himself, almost not knowing that he wasn't sure of himself 2 months ago, right? You don't know what you don't know. But that experience is helpful, and clearly, our team with the younger guys, I believe the best is yet to come for all of them.
Stone talked after the game, Sean, about how when he steps out on the perimeter and creates kind of that 4-out, 1-in, that it really affects your offense in a positive way. How would you categorize what that's doing for the offense?
He's right. Space on the court is just more because, we have like one low post player, and if that low post player is Zeke in particular, Zeke, he's versatile. He can step away. So you think about the spacing, it opens the court up more for drives. When we get into our transition game, we have another threat beyond the three-point line, not just 2 or 3 players, but sometimes 4 or even 5 if you count Zeke in there. So I do think Stone gives us more spacing. And having said that, the uniqueness of Stone is that where he's performed the best for us is around the basket. So although he's a threat from the perimeter, it's not as if he can't score close to the rim. I think most of his baskets came on this last trip in the key, in the paint around the basket, and he's clever. He's bigger and stronger than you think he is. So it's that dual threat that he provides where, it gives us more spacing and can keep you honest from behind the arc, but he's done a very good job scoring close to the basket as well. And I think that's one thing we really love about him.
How much has his rebounding improved over the last couple weeks?
Well, his rebounding has improved, but our team's rebounding has improved. And as we look toward the LA schools, both USC and UCLA, I think that's a key for any team that gets ready to play these two teams, that you have to be able to hold your own on the glass, get second shots, be able to keep them from getting key second shots, needing all 5 players to rebound. If you're following our team right now, you see that we are rebounding better on defense, keeping the other teams from getting second shots. And, that's a big deal, as you guys know. That's hurt us in some of our losses. And this week, I don't think there's 2 opponents that do that any better than USC and UCLA. They're number 2 and number 1 in our conference in offensive rebound percentage. So they depend a lot on second shots. I think both teams are at their best when they rebound really well. They emphasize it. They have talent in that area, and we're going to be incredibly challenged in that area of the game, and that'll be a test that we have to pass if we're going to be successful.
Send less guys back on defense? Is that part of it? I know sometimes that stat can be a little misleading, or are they just really good at it?
Well, it doesn't matter how many you send back. It's just a matter of what percentage do you get. It's if you have somebody like, I'll use DeAndre as an example. It doesn't matter how many guys you send back. He can get 2 or 3 or 4 himself, right? Some people do it by sending 3, 4, but no matter how you try to do it, getting second shots, it all comes down to how many do you get per game. What percentage do you get back? And
right. Well, I guess I meant too in the sense that if they do send fewer guys back, on the other hand, if you can handle it, does that maybe help your offense on the other end?
it allows us to get out in transition for sure. Yeah.
What's been kind of the key maybe this weekend and beyond as far as making that improvement in rebound? I mean, you were really concerned about that a month ago. What areas, particularly have the guys gotten better at?
Well, I think the stats speak for themselves. Let's start with Zeke, for example. He's always been a very good rebounder since he's come to Arizona, but his defensive rebounding has really improved over the last month or so. Nico, at first, being a young guard, rebounding isn't something that you necessarily think of if you're him. But as he's learned how to win and watched film and practiced 70-plus times, his defensive rebounding has jumped up. I mean, he's a much better defensive rebounder now than he was in our non-conference season. I think that overall we take it very seriously. We work on it constantly. We as a coaching staff have that at the top of our list. You have to block out. We need everybody to participate. Got to get the ball with two hands when we haven't done it. We've shown the consequences of some of these 50-50 balls going to the other team. I look at the Arizona State and Oregon games as having, in Oregon, maybe 6 to 8 plays, maybe Arizona State 4 to 6, where you can't allow that other team to get more than you. And if you win that battle, that's big, especially in conference play.
I mean, is it as simple then maybe as focus and effort in a lot of those cases, or are there any technical things like, guys understanding angles better or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, blocking out, being physical, getting the ball with two hands, just having your guards, not when the shot goes up, having 3 players try to get the ball, but having 5, and I'm talking about defense. And that's easier said than done, but if you think of Kadeem Allen or TJ, those types of players, they weren't big guys. They were point guards or guards. But in certain games, they got some really big rebounds. This doesn't just fall on our big players, our post players. And I've said it many times, nor does it fall just on our starting group. We as a team have to do a great job of making sure that we finish the possession and block out and are physical, and we work on it. But just because you work on it, that doesn't mean that it carries into a game. It really falls on the players, and our team has done a really good job of embracing that and improving. That can go away quickly, though, and I think the biggest challenge yet is this week. If we don't rebound well, it'll be a really tough task for our group. If we do rebound well, that gives us our best opportunity to have success.
What's the status of Chase this week?
He's available to play. He practiced yesterday.
Do you think the Pac-12 conference was going to be this jumbled halfway through? I mean, most years you would say 3 to 4 losses wins this league. Right now, you've got 8 teams with 3 or 4 losses.
Yeah, no, I think that is the consequences of a balanced conference from top to bottom, where your bottom is better, your middle is stronger, and your top is what it is. We've had, and I'll go back to when Lowry was here, his year, and Oregon went to the Final Four that year. They had Dylan Brooks, Alonzo Ball, and UCLA was an excellent team. So we had these 3 teams that you could make the argument were among the tops in college basketball. I think we got a 2 seed, and maybe the other 2 got 3 seeds, all from the same conference. Yet we only got 4 teams in the NCAA tournament. There were 8 teams that did not get a bid. When 8 teams that did not get a bid, when you had 3 that strong up to top, right? You would think that having 3 teams that are that good would almost carry more into it. But if you look closely at that season, and I think one of the studies that we've done as a conference is the importance of the bottom, how they did in the non-conference season, and having balance throughout the league. So, how do you get the most teams in the NCAA tournament? That all of us are smart with our non-conference scheduling, and that we bring quality wins, that we hit the mark of winning above 70% of our non-conference games as a conference, not just a few teams. So then you get into conference play, and then when you beat each other, it's looked at as the reason they're beating each other is they have a lot of quality. And this year in the Pac-12, we have a lot of quality. If you compare our conference to the ACC and the SEC, 2 that have recently been ahead of us, you can make the case that we're all very closely connected. And that's to our credit as a conference. We've worked hard in our spring meetings and the fall meetings. Jamie Zanenovich and Larry Scott have really helped us and embraced the importance of scheduling. We've looked hard at why to go to the 20-game model. And I think as you now are in conference play, it's exciting. It's not a detriment. It's not a negative, where on any given night, anybody can beat anyone, and road wins are hard to come by, and you want those home sweeps are coveted, and that's where we're at as a conference right now. And I think our Pac-12 conference is very healthy, and it's going to continue to be healthy because we have some really good leadership right now. And look, if you look at our conference talent-wise, the NBA draft speaks for itself on who they pick. We don't have anything to do with do they pick our players or pick players from the Pac-12. Our conference takes a back seat to nobody, especially when you consider that our membership has only 12. Some of the other conferences have 16 teams to pick from. You look at lottery picks, first-round picks, first and second-round picks. This year is going to be even more. I mean, our conference is littered with some of the best players in college basketball. Some of them come in the forms of freshmen, but some of them come in the forms of experienced players. We just played against a terrific player from Washington State, C.J. Ellerby. Guy can play what he does for his team is remarkable. 2 days earlier, we're playing against Washington, and they have some of the best young talent in college basketball. I look at USC and UCLA, it's like every time that we're getting ready to play the other team, you have great respect for the talent and the teams. So I think from that perspective, it's a lot of fun. It's hard, but I think the people that follow our conference now really can have the peace of mind that we're in a very, very good place. And some of the new coaches that have been added to our conference, we're going to face one on Saturday, Mick Cronin. They're some of the best coaches in the country, and to have them as part of our conference makes our conference's future even brighter and healthier. And that's how I feel. I have 11 years of experience to talk about it, and I feel like from top to bottom, our conference is as good as it's ever been.
What do you most remember about those battles with Mick?
Well, Mick Cronin, for those that haven't followed him at Cincinnati, what he did is remarkable. He took over the program at a very uncertain time. They jumped conferences multiple times, which is very difficult for a program to go through. And he went to 11 NCAA tournaments. I mean, he's a really good coach. His teams play with great effort. They are one of the best defensive teams in the country. You can see it developing right now with UCLA, that they're a different team now than they were a month ago, and they're only going to keep getting better. They're physical rebounding, and they're very, very good defensively, and they're a smart group. And I think they're taking on what he wants their program to be. Cincinnati was like that, and you could see UCLA moving into that mold as a program. But I have great respect for Mick Cronin.
Well, so with the race, 5 teams with 3 losses anyway at the top, you have 6 of 10 at home. I mean, do you feel like you're in a pretty good place now, coming off that sweep, to maybe make a run at this thing? Or
I never really felt when we lost a couple close games that the bottom was falling out, and it's so important for us not to get too carried away with what we just did. And I think the one thing that we've done so far is we've tried to take a very balanced approach and keep working on those things that are going to help us win. Rebounding. I know it's not fun to talk about turnovers and rebounding, but for our team, when we rebound the ball and we keep that team away from getting second shots, and we really take care of the ball, which I think is our team's best attribute, that's when we're at our best. And you saw at Washington State, we didn't shoot it particularly well. I thought we ran really good offense, but sometimes that happens. And so you're not relying on the ball constantly going in. You have better balance, and you can win different ways. So that's what gives me the most optimism as I look forward. I feel like our team's getting better on defense, and our offense has stayed steady for a couple months now. One thing that I'm really looking at is we're not shooting many free throws per game, so we're kind of looking at that. Some of that might be the personnel that we're playing more right now, but we want to get to the foul line, and we want to draw fouls. That's a big part of winning games. So that's the one thing that's changed, I would say, maybe to our detriment over the last several weeks.
When you look at the race too, you guys, Oregon, Colorado, kind of playing as expected. Was maybe anything about SC or Stanford or anybody else surprise you?
I think Stanford is a terrific team. I've watched them play against USC. They're a fun team to watch. Jared, he's really done a great job coaching his team. If the season ended now, that's who I would vote for Coach of the Year. I mean, he has a younger group. We're very familiar with his point guard because his point guard, Tyrell, he played with Zeke on the travel team circuit. So we saw him play a lot, and we knew that he was very good. But his impact as a freshman point guard, it's kind of like Nico's impact here at Arizona. Those guys really have come in and run the show. But they're an exciting team to watch. At this point, I've pretty much seen everybody play quite a bit because, you're watching certain teams multiple times now. But, yeah, I think that we have a great group of teams, man. It's you go to Vegas, Pac-12 tournament, should be one of the best Pac-12 tournaments maybe ever when you consider the depth of our conference.
Anything else about SC kind of strike you, besides obviously the rebounding, that front court they have? Or?
Yeah, they block shots. They do a great job of getting the ball inside. We have an amazing amount of respect for Jonah Matthews. He's an older veteran player that is tough on defense. And I feel like when he has good games, when he's scoring and making three-point shots, creating baskets for his team, that's when SC's at their best. That family has really hurt us badly. His brother Jordan got us both at Cal and Gonzaga, and, Jonah's been very good as well. So we know that he's a very good player in addition to their inside guys.
USC has more turnovers than assists in Pac-12 play. Is that going to make you want to try to play a little more aggressively in the half court to try to force those, and if that means fouling?
No, I mean, we want to be who we are on defense. We believe in our defense. It doesn't mean we sit back. We want to pressure. But, You know, you got to do a good job guarding their big guys. You know, it's you allow them to catch the ball and dribble the ball in the post and get second shots, and they run their stuff. So the best post defense is ball pressure. So we want to pressure the ball, but you know, at the end of the day, we have to be the team that we are. And if we are that, I think rebounding is the biggest stat of the game.
Anything else? All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.